This is WPSL Port St. Lucie.
You're listening to WSTU Stewart.
Well, a very pleasant good evening. Time for Startup Talk from Indian River State College and Mr. Tom Kindred.
Thank you, sir, and welcome to another segment and installment of Startup Talk, the show designed to assist and help Treasure and Research Coast residents who want to start, grow, or accelerate their business. As I always say, what a great place it is to own and operate a business along the beautiful Research and Treasure Coast. We will spend time during our hour together this evening to highlight and create awareness regarding the very powerful and robust business assistance and support programs that exist right here in our community at our very own Indian River State College. I am Tom Kindred, and I serve as the Regional Director for the Small Business Development Center here at Indian River State College. Underwriters for this segment of Startup Talk are the Florida Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College, engaged at every stage of enterprise. The Small Business Development Center at IRSC. You can always find out more about us at the irscbiz.com site. And, of course, our good friends at Express Printing of Port St. Lucie. So, Greg, how are you this evening?
Doing okay.
All right. Things are well in the radio world. Things are well at the college, I guess. We finished up basketball season, and so we're moving on, I guess.
Good one. Player of the Year, Coach of the Year. It was very nice.
Nice. So Charlie was actually recognized as Coach of the Year in the conference.
Yeah, we just have to lock him up somewhere because there's a lot of buzz around him.
You think he's a hot commodity now?
He is a very hot commodity.
Okay. Well, he did well, and it's been a lot of fun the last couple years going to the games. So I've enjoyed it. I encourage folks all the time to, whenever you hear about a basketball game at Indian River State College, men's and women, it is a lot of fun, and it never any charge to go to a game.
Nope, they are free with the exception of the women's cancer fundraiser.
Right.
And that's it. That's it. Other than that, they're free.
Great opportunity for local residents to get a good look at collegiate sports, and it is a lot of fun. Greg, I don't think, can we fit anybody else in here tonight?
Yes, like a Volkswagen stuffing contest.
This studio is jam-packed tonight. It is full of very enthusiastic, motivated, and dedicated entrepreneurs. These folks are working with the Florida SBDC, and most importantly, next week, the folks you're going to hear on the show tonight are giving their pitches for their businesses and their new product ideas. They are giving their pitches at the IRSC Pioneer Pitch Panel, better known as the Shark Tank.
Cool.
So let me welcome everybody in the studio tonight. We'll kind of get started tonight. Let me start over at the far end of the table. We've got Will Roberts. Will, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. Glad to be here.
And we've got Carol Alberts. Carol, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Tom. Thanks for having us.
Now, Will and Carol founded, own, and operate a business called Ms. Perkys, and Ms. Perkys manufactures a unique blend of cold brew coffee.
Ooh, okay.
And I think they actually brought some tonight. That's right. So we've got a few samples.
Okay.
And we're going to talk to them about cold brew and what it all means and how they do it. But it's an incredible product. And Carol and Will are very experienced, seasoned entrepreneurs, owned and operated, started a number of businesses, been in business for a number of years. So, again, I'm very excited about having Will and Carol on the show. I'm very excited about working with them at the college in the incubation program and having them pitch next Wednesday night at the Shark Tank.
Coffee in a radio station. Let's see. I've heard that somewhere before.
Right.
Yeah.
Along with Will and Carol, we've got two young, exciting entrepreneurs with us. Very excited to work with these young folks. We've got Miss Jenna Summers. Welcome to the show, Jenna.
Thanks for having me, Tom. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and we've got her partner, Drew Bland.
Tom, we appreciate the offering to have us on the show.
No problem. Listen, we appreciate you all taking out time tonight to come on. Now, Drew and Jenna co-founded and started a company called RX Donuts.
Donuts in a radio
Donuts,
station.
that's right. So RX Donuts produces and provides consumers a healthy, Yes, you heard me right. A healthy option in the donut product category. They specialize in creating healthy alternatives customized for specific folks and their diets. Half the calories of those other donuts that we may have all partaken in out there.
Cool.
RX donuts are baked, not fried. So an incredible product. Again, two very seasoned entrepreneurs. Both Drew and Jenna have been in business, owned some businesses, and Jenna and Drew can give us a little bit of their history as we get started. But so tonight, the show is all about entrepreneurship and the things we're doing at the college to help entrepreneurs get up and out there and launching their business.
So when is the pitch panel?
Well, that was my next point. I want to start with just a couple of big announcements and make sure that we get the word out on all this. But we do have one of our patented IRSC Pioneer Pitch Panel events, which is really a Shark Tank event. It's going to be next Wednesday evening, the 28th. It'll all start about 5:30. I'll throw a few, munchies out and a few drinks out, and we will start giving pitches immediately at 6 o'clock. We've got 4 great presenters next Wednesday night. It's all going to take place. This will be the first time we've done it at the Pruitt campus down in St. Lucie West, and we're going to do it in our new Enterprise Hub facility.
Awesome.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm telling you, when you hear these two groups tonight talk about their products, you'll understand why I'm very excited about next Wednesday night. I can't wait. And then I also want to start talking about, to make sure everybody knows it's coming up, May the 1st, Small Business Week, as we've done the last couple of years. We are having our fifth annual Entrepreneurship and Small Business Conference. That'll take place, as it always does, on the main campus in Fort Pierce. It'll all get underway in the morning. It's about 3/4 of a day. Got some incredible presenters at this conference this year. Mr. Jerry Parrish, you may remember Jerry, Greg.
Yes, how well I do.
Yes, Jerry is the chief economist and director of research for the Florida Chamber of Commerce. So he'll come down, talk about the economics of the state of Florida and what's happening with the economy and break it down for us on a local level. Our lunch speaker is going to be Knight Kiplinger of Kiplinger, the Knight Kiplinger.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay.
Hey, we don't play around here at the SBDC.
Man, you had a home run. That's
right.
Great. Yeah.
Knight Kiplinger is speaking. He is the lunch speaker from Kiplinger Publications. And as we did last year, we're going to partner with the St. Lucie County EDC and do the lunch together right there in the atrium of the Kite Center. And then during the day, for those attending the conference, got all kinds of great workshops and breakouts. Profit mastery, understanding business financials. We've got a banking panel, government contracting. We're going to do an HR workshop this year, website development, cybersecurity for small business. Emily McHugh, our international trade specialist, she's going to do a program called Finding Success as an Entrepreneur. She wrote a book recently about her, travels and journeys in entrepreneurship. So she'll be presenting, and we'll have one of our professors from the IRSC School of Business doing a Maximize Your Marketing and Public Relations workshop. So again, a great day on May the 1st. So we'll be out promoting that as time goes by now. But again, most important, again, if you watch Shark Tank on TV, you can come see it live next Wednesday night at the Pruitt campus down in St. Lucie West.
That sounds great. Yeah,
I know, very excited.
Well, we haven't missed one yet, so I'll see you next week.
That's right. So I want to get started this night. We got a lot to talk about, got a lot to cover with two entrepreneurial groups here in the studio. So I want to start. We'll start with Jenna and Drew. Why don't you guys just each of you take a couple of minutes and give us a little background on what you've been doing and kind of your pathway to developing the RX Donuts products. Drew, you can get started.
Yeah. Again, thanks, Tom, for having us. But it's kind of a wild story. We both kind of went about our way through college. I was playing college football, and so I loved athletics. I loved working out. I kind of fell more in love with the working out process, actually, than the athletics part by the time I was like a senior. So I knew leaving college, and I have a business management degree, so I love business. I love working out. I was like, why, let's do something in the gym. So I decided to become a personal trainer. So that's what I was doing. I love the fitness industry. I love working out, all that kind of stuff.
Where'd you go to college?
Just a small school, Illinois College in Jacksonville, Illinois. And
Okay.
I played football, so just a small Division III football, but even Division III, I mean, it's a job, it's a workload.
It's college football, no matter what. Yeah, well,
absolutely.
yeah.
So it was like, I fell in love with the process of working out and being healthy because it was kind of a, hey, you're going to do it, or next man up, they're going to take your place. So that's kind of what led me into being more healthy and all that kind of stuff. Well, then I have a management degree. I got into managing a couple gyms. I was personal training, doing all that kind of stuff. I moved down to Florida. There's obviously a much larger market for that down here. Excuse me. And then being down here, I was kind of growing. I was getting more into the management side. Things were great. I actually took another job back home in Illinois, so I went back and forth a couple times. Ended up back in Florida the second time. Was here for not even 6 months. I decided, hey, I don't want to work for the man, anymore. I want to start having my own business and things. So I started doing a lot of my training online. So I was doing a lot of online coaching. We do, workout programs, all that kind of stuff. Well, that's when I met Jenna, not even being back here 6 months.
How do you do online coaching?
Right. So the concept of online
That's
coaching.
a whole nother show, Greg.
Yeah, no
It's a whole nother show, Greg.
Yeah. The concept of online coaching is the same as regular training in the gym and things, but I just provide you with all of it. You do it on yourself. So I was working out in the gym.
Well, that would be a failure for me.
Right, yeah.
So I was in the gym. I was doing that kind of stuff, but I was more of an entrepreneur mindset of I want to work for myself. I want to create business and do that kind of thing. So I started doing all this online. That's when I met Jenna, and Jenna actually had her own business at the time and had actually done online coaching herself. And so we obviously meshed at that point. I'll let her kind of tell where the story takes off from there. But that's my background, going from fitness into coaching and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, we want to get to the donuts at some point here because we've got donuts in the studio too.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead, Jenna. Pick it up there from there. How'd we get to the donut business?
So I graduated from USF over in Tampa, and after I graduated from college, I actually started a meal prep company here on the Treasure Coast. I helped 2 other companies in Tampa actually get started. Ended up moving home after college, and I'm like, wait, why have I not started my own meal prep company myself? I'm helping everybody else do it. So I moved home, and my mom and I actually started that business about a little over a year ago. We don't have that business anymore because the donuts actually ended up being an even bigger hit than just the meals themselves. With all those things now out like HelloFresh and, they send you the meals. People want to learn how to cook and, so the donuts really took off, and that's why we started RX Donuts. And I have a niche for, the healthy baked goods side of things. I started posting recipes on Instagram and Facebook and saw this huge response of people wanting healthy desserts. And so I was like, wait, I'm onto something here. And so I actually tweaked the recipe and kept playing around with it, and we were able to come out with 4 different versions of healthy options within the donut line. We have a vegan, a keto, a paleo, and an athletic one that has higher carbs and protein.
Can we say all that on the air?
All right, RX Donuts again.
A vegan donut?
A vegan donut, man. I'm telling you. All right, let's move over to our Miss Perkys again. Do you see collaboration here, Greg?
Yeah,
we got coffee and donuts. So let's start.
I see a mega merger.
There could be. You're right. We could form a corporation right in here tonight. Carol, why don't you kind of start us with a little bit of your background? How did you get to the Miss Perkys manufacturing of cold brew coffee come about?
Well, that came about by way of Ohio, actually. In the downturn of the economy, Will and I were Fort Pierce residents who were looking for employment, and we ended up in Ohio, bought a coffee shop that was in Grove City, just near our home, and not knowing much about coffee and making sandwiches, we learned a lot on the fly, and we learned to make really good coffees. It turns out our neighborhood coffee lovers became our regulars. And we enjoyed that for 4 years.
Nice.
And it had a great time with it, and then we were exhausted. We came to a point where, okay, something's got to give, and we just put the coffee shop on the market and ended up with a buyer that it gave us the opportunity to go look in different directions. They didn't want to have the coffee shop. They only wanted the craft beer portion of our cafe. So when we sold, we took the coffee equipment, came back to Florida, and
Nice.
After a lot of thinking about what do we do with this, we decided we didn't want a brick and mortar. We started the Miss Perkys rolling coffee shop.
Okay.
After a few months of doing that, we realized that Floridians weren't really into hot coffee as much as we thought, and Will learned about cold brew, started developing the recipe, and we came up with our formula that is resonating with.
It is wonderful.
Yes, Greg's already chugged
wonderful.
his.
With those who taste it, yes.
For coffee plain.
I know, I can't.
Like no cream or sugar. I was like, wow.
I can't drink hot coffee without cream and sugar,
No, me
but
neither.
cold brew I can drink black
Nice.
all day long. It's so smooth.
So, Will, you kind of wrap it up here for us. Tell us a little bit about the whole cold brew, because you and I, as we've been working together, I kind of told you I just assumed cold brew was like iced coffee, but it's really not. So, kind of tell us how this process works with the cold brew.
Yeah, cold brew is not. Cold brew is a unique process. It's a different process. I'm a beer guy from way back, and I kind of incorporated beer brewing, in with coffee,
Right.
making coffee. Well, cold brew has been coming on the market. Cold brew is basically a coarser bean, or a coarser grind for a bean. I steep for 18 hours, and there I take it and I keg it, charge it under nitrogen, where beer experience comes in.
Right.
You serve it at your local restaurant on a tap like you would a Guinness. So it's real unique. It's the nitrogen gives it a frothy mouthfeel. And what you're trying here tonight is what they would call still. So no gassing on these, but it's been a real fun process. A lot of people said, "Hey, you need to brew beer." I said, I'm doing the next best thing. I'm brewing something that a lot of people are doing.
Right.
And we're also doing, with that experience, we're doing some unique stuff, barrel aging. So we're doing aging a lot of our cold brew on hardwood, maple, apple, whiskey barrel, which we have some of that here tonight for us to try.
All
Also.
right. So let's go back, Jenna. Let's go back to your donuts. Kind of talk to me about the actual product. What is this? What is this healthy donut product all about?
So the best part about these donuts is they are actually half the calories than your average donut that you would get from just Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme donuts. And the donut itself, the actual dough, doesn't have any added sugar. The only sugar is the icing on top, which you can actually choose to not have that if, it's part of your diet, and you can't have that sugar, we can do away with it. So it's really cool having the different options. Our ingredients, we choose to use a whey casein blend protein, which causes the dough to actually come out more moist, versus our competitors. They actually use like a whey isolate with a whole wheat flour, causing the donuts to be more dry, almost like a bagel consistency. So that's where we kind of find our niche in the market. Aside from having healthy different options, our dough is completely different than the average.
Okay, Greg, I've tried a donut.
Okay, what's it taste
We're
like?
doing an in-studio taste test. I mean, that tastes exactly like a Krispy Kreme or a Dunkin' Donut.
No,
Yeah, and
it's supposed to be better, Tom.
That donut actually only has roughly 100 calories in it.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
So you can
I-
eat 6
I don't-
versus
my
the
body,
one.
my body may reject this. It may be too healthy for me.
But it doesn't taste it, right?
No.
Okay, so
no.
that's what we want.
I love it.
I can eat donuts again.
That's right. You
That's
can go
it.
back to eating donuts.
So if Panera comes in before the end of the show, would you sell?
Would I sell?
For the right price.
Well, it would have to be at least 8 figures, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Coffee and donuts. Sure.
We'll team up with them for the
Now,
right price.
Now, again, what's been really, again, very interesting is as we've worked together, and I want to talk a little bit about the work we've done together a little bit. But as we've worked together, it has become obvious in both of your markets, both the cold brew and the donut market. I mean, these are huge, huge markets that you guys are functioning in. I mean, high growth markets. I mean, again, the coffee market is a $2 billion market. And again, all the research that you've done, Will, is really showing that this cold brew is the next product out there, right?
It definitely is. And if you listen to your radio commercials, now Starbucks has a cold brew. Now Dunkin' Donuts has it. That's what we wanted to get involved in. We kind of bumped it up just a little bit. We made it a little more robust. It's a little heavier than what you would see in your mass markets, which is kind of our niche. And really, who else is serving it under Nitro? Really, we're pretty much it on the Treasure Coast at this point.
Right, and you guys are actually up and running. I mean, you're producing revenue. You've got some taps out there in the marketplace.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
We have Walking Tree Brewery and Vero, Costa de Este on the beach. They actually have us on tap at the bar, and we're doing some contract brewing for some places down in Stewart.
Okay.
Sure are.
Is that Gloria Estefan's hotel?
It is.
It is.
Cool. Very cool.
Now, again, same kind of question for you, Drew and Jen. I mean, the donut industry, $14 billion in revenue in the donut industry out there.
Second largest or most consumed product.
Yeah,
to potatoes.
second. Yeah, to potatoes, it's the second most consumed food in every year. So it's wanted and needed, apparently.
And again, you're seeing there is a part of this donut industry that's going healthy, is it not? I mean, it's
in every subcategory of the food industry they're all wanting to just kind of go more towards the healthier vibe, but it's also because they see what their consumers want. They, it's not just that they want to come up with their line of if the market is for fattier foods, well, they're going to give them fattier foods, but the market now screams
health is trending
health
right now.
Yeah, health needs to be more of a conscious thing that you're thinking about. So in every food industry, there's more healthy options coming to the surface.
Right. And again, you guys are also you're producing this product, you're producing some revenues, but obviously you're at a point just like Ms. Perkys. I mean, you guys are ready to take that next step, and so that's kind of why you've gotten engaged in the college and in the SBDC. I mean, you're looking to launch into bigger and better things, correct?
Yes, we are.
All right.
Looking to be a household name.
Exactly.
That's right. Okay. Well, good. Let's talk a little bit about the tough side of this whole entrepreneurship process. I mean, and everybody can jump in and answer the question. I mean, as you guys, and again, Carol kind of mentioned it earlier. I mean, you were in a brick and mortar for 4 years. I mean, building a brand, and Jenna, you owned a food business before this too. And so, what are some of the hurdles and the obstacles out there for young entrepreneurs like you guys? I mean, kind of enlighten maybe some folks out there thinking about getting in this game. Yep. Go ahead, Jenna.
Definitely, like, as an entrepreneur, I feel like you really learn as you go. Nobody gives you a manual and says, here's how you start your business. This is what you need to do, and watch out for these road bumps ahead. I fell into a few issues, like with some licensing, which, it doesn't matter what part of the state you call, somebody tells you something different.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. And then, I think we had also talked about, you made some decisions, about structure of the business and partners, and that caused you some grief along the way too.
Headache, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, there was just, when we first, so when I came into the picture, Jenna had this food concept that she had been running with, and things were good, but also in the food industry, if naturally there's a lot more things you have to, hurdles you have to jump through in order to make sure things are up to code and all that kind of stuff. Whereas when you're talking more of a baked good, it's a little simpler. So, we kind of put our heads together, and I was like, why not simplify this concept?
Right.
Why not simplify the business? Your main seller is the donut. So that's when we simplified it, and it was one of those things like there's always ways to learn, but through her kind of hiccups and things like that, it then made us find which one of our products actually was the most wanted, and that's where we went.
Yeah, Carol and Will, I mean, what kind of challenges did you guys have, and what might you do differently if you started over again today?
Well, I would say probably nothing, because whenever you start a business, you never know what that business is going to turn out to be like. we opened the rolling coffee shop, Miss Perkys Rolling Coffee Shop. We thought that was going to be the cat's meow.
Right.
Well, guess what? You know, we're now kegging cold brew coffee, and that is substantially climbing in comparison.
Right.
So our business has taught us what direction we need to concentrate in. I think very similar to what Jenna was saying. You know, as far as starting a new business, Carol and I both have bruised shins because
Right.
of all the hoops and the stairs and
Right.
that you have to go through. It took us a year just to get permitting,
Right.
literally to get the coffee
it's a
shop
very
going.
painful process.
A full year.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so again, I think a common theme that I'm hearing is, and something that we try to, really kind of, impress upon those that work with the SBDC is you've got to be flexible in this business. You got to be flexible. You got to be somewhat nimble, and you got to be able to adjust to market changes. And I mean, that's exactly what the four of you guys really did. I mean, you learned from your customers because you were in business, and then you adjusted.
I have a real good friend that gave me advice years ago. He said, follow up, follow up, follow up. That is the name of the business, and
Right.
that's what it is. A lot of people get tired of seeing my number pop up, but you have to do it or it will literally go away.
Right. Well, so talk a little bit. You've been engaged with the SBDC. We're working now in some incubator activities. You're going to get to pitch. I mean, how important is that kind of support and assistance for you guys?
I wish I would have known about it my first go round. I think I could have probably avoided a lot of those hiccups that I ran into, with the first business that I started that I'm definitely not running into now because I feel like I'm, have help along the way with every step that, every check I need to mark off on my to-do list. You guys are there to, help us get that done.
Nice. Yeah.
The SBDC has been the one that's there to go, before you do this, make sure you do your research. And they're the ones with that checklist for you that says, if you want to start in business, you need to do this, this, and this, and this is what you'll need to know about. So that's been really good for us.
Well, and too, Carol, you bring up a great point, and I'm thankful you brought it up because it is so important. One of the things we impress upon those that are starting a business and those looking to, kind of reinvent their business and change, it is about the research. You've really got to stop and take the time to research your marketplace, who your target customer is.
Is there even a market for your product?
Well, that's right. Yeah, excellent point. Yeah.
Just because you think it's a great product doesn't mean everybody else does.
I'm going to let you teach a class, Jenna.
I was going to say.
Is this a hobby or a job?
Right. That's right.
Great question.
And that has come up several times in this show
Right.
over the last 3 years.
Right. Yeah. And, again, one of the things that you guys are going to now participate in is a very common activity now for entrepreneurs where you go out and you pitch your idea. And one of the primary reasons we stress this to entrepreneurs is, so often people, they look at the Shark Tank on television, and for those folks, it's really about the money. It's about getting the investment. But beyond just the money, pitching and before groups and pitching before a panel like you'll do next Wednesday night at the IRSC program, it's about getting that real-world, candid feedback from successful entrepreneurs, successful business people. And we've got one of those folks on the phone with us now. A very successful and savvy entrepreneur who I use all the time as a mentor. We've got Mr. Marcus Koya on the phone. Marcus, you out there?
I sure am. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Marcus. Listen, we appreciate you joining us tonight because I wanted to bring your kind of seasoned experience into the conversation tonight. We've got four great, very dedicated, very motivated, intelligent entrepreneurs with us, and they've been working on developing their pitch, and they're going to give that pitch next Wednesday night before a panel, which you've set on for us a number of times. But start real quickly, Marcus. Give us just a little idea of your background and your journey through the entrepreneurial process.
Yeah, sure. And thank you for having me. I was looking forward to spending some time on the show. So, my background has always been technology, specifically telecommunications. Starting out of school as an MIS grad, through really three different startups. One of which is a founding employee, not necessarily a founder, but one of the first employees of what is now a very large digital marketing company to another venture where I joined as a co-founder and helped to grow a business, and then most recently as a founder of another digital marketing and telecommunications startup. So I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and mostly good, and even the bad was rewarding in the sense that you certainly learn from some of the mistakes you made, and I'll be happy to talk about some of those. But again, yeah, three different startups, worked for a large company in between, all focused on marketing and telecommunications.
Yeah. So talk about your time in entrepreneurship. This whole concept of pitching and has become a really big part of the whole entrepreneurial process. Talk about pitching. I mean, I know that you participated in through the years multiple business plan competitions and pitch events. Talk a little bit about the importance of that and why it's important for a young entrepreneur to kind of engage in that process.
Sure. In fact, I think we met at one of those business plan competitions. So,
right.
So it's incredibly important. If you're looking to build a business, that you intend to grow at scale, you're going to need funding at some point. Again, whether that's in the development phase, pre-product, or kind of post-product growth, you're going to need some funding. And I don't know if any of the folks that are listening or that are on this, broadcast have tried to call an investor, but they don't answer, and or tried. They
don't put their phone numbers on their cards.
That's if you can get their numbers. So,
yeah. My investor is in invisible ink.
Well, that is so true. So I think everyone here can commiserate. It's virtually impossible to send an investor a pitch deck or to call them cold and expect a response. The probability of success is like 0%. So, to have these venues and to have these programs where you can pitch, even if it is only a half dozen investors, the investor community is very, very small and incestuous. If your product or your company isn't interesting to investor A, they may have another, a series of downline investors that they could refer you to. So it's really not about your ability to pitch to 6 investors. It's the relationships that you build that can bring on even more investors. And again, that, to build that network as an entrepreneur trying to raise capital is critical, paramount.
Well, and again, even beyond actually the investment, I mean, these pitches really allow young entrepreneurs to perfect presentation skills, work out issues in the business plan, get that candid feedback. Is that all part of it also too?
Most certainly, yeah. And you bring up a great point, and it's also about that advisory committee is what I've called it. I've always been an incredible proponent of bringing a group of advisors in to bounce different ideas off of. So you're exactly right. To have that sounding board and to scrutinize your business plan is important. I often talk about kind of entrepreneurial bias, which is, as an entrepreneur, you may not be viewing things through the right lens because you're so passionate about your product, which is what makes you a great entrepreneur in the first place. So to have somebody poke holes or view your business model from a perspective that you hadn't thought of is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, and that you bring up an excellent point too. I mean, that it really is about poking holes, and I tell my panelists, and you probably heard my little prep talk to my panelists in the past, is where I tell the panelists, the questions you ask and the issues you bring up with these entrepreneurs at these pitch events may be the very issue that is the difference between success and failure in the launch of their product. That fair, Marcus?
I think you're exactly right, particularly around things like distribution. And when I jumped on, I heard somebody talk about product market fit. Is there a market for your product, and do you fully understand what that looks like? And I think some entrepreneurs, at least the ones that I've who've presented during panels that I've sat on, they may not think through that. I think a lot of folks spend a lot of time on the product. And I use the term making decisions in a vacuum, and they don't fully understand, which market they ought to be serving. And in addition to that, a lot of folks, a lot of mistakes that I see made is, they say, well, I can sell my product anywhere, right? There isn't really a market that I should be selling into. And that's, that's a very dangerous thing to do as well, because, most successful startups start, in a micro market. You look at Yelp. Yelp started in, I think Oakland, California. So, but yes, back to your point. I mean, I think that having those advisors that have been through it, to help you, can help you understand where you might be missing or where you need to focus more attention.
Yeah. And a lot of times, even in these pitches, again, because we've been so, I guess, educated and trained by the Shark Tank show on television, they kind of focus on the money. A lot of times in these local pitch events like we do, the ask may just be, I want some advice, or I want a mentor. I want somebody to come and kind of consult with my company. Is that a legitimate ask for a startup in a community like ours?
Well, that's exactly right, and particularly in a community like ours, because we have so many amazing business people that perhaps are retired and that are so willing to offer advice. And I go back to my comment about an advisory committee. I highly recommend any entrepreneur, structure an advisory committee, and not only having advisors that will take your call, but to have structured quarterly meetings with them just to talk through the business plan and the developments and offer their advice. So I think that's exactly right. If you can develop those relationships in these meetings, that's almost as valuable as capital.
Marcus, can you hang in there with us just a couple more minutes?
Of course.
Yeah. Marcus Koya, successful and one of the savviest entrepreneurs I've met with us here on Startup Talk. We're going to take just a quick break to recognize our underwriters for this segment of Startup Talk.
Looking to start, grow, or accelerate your business no matter where you are in a business life cycle? The Small Business Development Center consultants at Indian River State College have real-world experience and expertise to help make your business and help you make sound business decisions. Motivated entrepreneurs and business owners have access to our team of professionally certified and credentialed business consultants and specialists to help you accelerate your business growth and expansion. Whether you're an existing business or you're finding your entrepreneurial spirit for the first time, the Florida SBDC at IRSC can help you on your path to success. For more information on the Florida SBDC or how you can take advantage of the no-cost business assistance program, call 336-6285. That's 336-6285, or visit irscbiz.com.
For those of you just joining us, we have got a studio full of what I describe as very motivated, dedicated, and intelligent young entrepreneurs. Got great products. They're in great markets. We've also got on the phone with us Mr. Marcus Koya, who I've worked with over a number of years.
But can they write a business plan?
We require that. That's the first
That's
requirement.
why I got thrown out of your office.
That's why you didn't make it through the program, Greg.
Oh, well.
These people have written their business plan. Marcus, while we got you, and we're going to let you go, but while we got you just for another minute or two, Greg brings up a great point. Talk to us from the real world of entrepreneurship and the business plan. Have things changed in creating a business plan, or do you still need one of those cumbersome things? What's the latest on business plans?
So the answer is yes, and it's different. It's funny. So I think about the last business plan. Well, forgive me. One of the first business plans I read right out of school, and it was a 50-page, very detailed, step-by-step guide of how this business was going to, get the vaunted hockey stick trajectory. And obviously those days are gone, right? I mean, a business plan, doesn't necessarily have to be, a 80-page thesis on the business. Business planning and business planning has changed. I always encourage entrepreneurs to read the Lean Startup, Michael Rise. And it really talks about this notion of you don't have to have it all figured out in the beginning. You have to have the table stakes, you have to have the fundamentals figured out, but everything else is about experimentation and validated learning. So what I always say is your business plan should be essentially all of your assumptions, right? From product cost to retail price to distribution channels, online marketing, whatever your business is, understand what your assumptions look like, and your business plan should be a model from risk up, right? And not to get too far off track, but I think a lot of folks, when they're putting together their business plan, their financial modeling, their projections, they get that entrepreneur's bias again. My product is so great, I'm going to sell, 10x more than I should sell. And what I always encourage is model from the top down. So the answer is the business plan doesn't have to be what it was 10 years ago. It certainly has to be a little more than a pitch deck, but I think it's got to be financially focused. What is my business going to look like from a financial and forecast perspective?
All right, kind of as we close with you, Marcus, again, you've had some great success and you've had some great experience in startups and entrepreneurship, and I certainly have always appreciated your friendship and your advice and your mentorship as we've worked in this program. And we're going to miss you next Wednesday night, and I know these entrepreneurs are going to miss your advice and your tough questions next week. But kind of as you leave us, Marcus, give us some advice for those looking to start a business, and as Drew said earlier in the show, he didn't want to work for the man. He wanted to start his own business. So some advice from one who's been through the trenches of entrepreneurship. What do you tell young entrepreneurs nowadays?
Yeah, I say take calculated risks. A lot of folks think that entrepreneurs are these, mavericks that are risk takers, and the reality is they're not. Make sure if you're starting a business, you take a calculated risk. Financial model the business till the cows come home, and really understand, what makes your business successful, and more importantly, what makes it fail, and how does it fail. That's number one. So I'd say during the development stage, really make sure you understand your business and don't take a calculated risk. Number two is, be realistic about, what your product is and who you can sell it to. I will tell you, I made a personal mistake that costs, frankly, hundreds of thousands, where I didn't understand exactly who my customer was and how that customer purchased, forgive me. So really understand that component. And then last is, and this is kind of different, but be realistic. I see so many folks that just have unrealistic expectations, and it doesn't always have to be bad, but what happens is you run out of money, or there's so many bad things that happen, and I see it all the time where people have unrealistic expectations.
Right.
So I think those would be a few of the top. The third one is go for it, right? Again, if you believe in it, go for it, provided that you did your due diligence.
Yep. Nope. Great advice, Marcus. And again, I appreciate all you've done for me in the program, Marcus, and we'll look forward to having you on the next panel when we do our next Shark Tank around the Treasure Coast. So again, Marcus, thanks for taking time out, and enjoy your children's spring break next week.
You sure will. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yep. Thank you, Marcus. So again, I've got my entrepreneurs in the room. Some pretty good advice from a guy who's been through the trenches. Does any of that kind of ring true to any of you folks in here about the, again, knowing who your customer is and doing that research? And what I really like about these two groups of entrepreneurs is you guys, your market research was really done in the real world. I mean, you didn't read a book. Neither one of you did. You kind of went out there, you started selling the product, and you really kind of learned from the real world. Talk a little bit about that experience and doing it. And as Marcus says, kind of get out there and take the first steps.
Our experience with Miss Perkys and the cold brew actually come from Walking Tree. Mike and Alan both had really, really helped us get started. We would come out with a batch, we'd put it on tap, and they go, well, you need to try harder because this is not going to sell.
Right.
And we were very fortunate to have friends like that would take a chance on us. And that is how we basically came up with a recipe. because we felt like we had a good thing, but there were, no, you need to tweak
Right.
this a little bit.
Well,
And-
I think that's to
Yeah.
Marcus's point. You know,
Right.
you get a little passionate about your product, but you want that candid feedback. And again, Jenna, talk about that too, because I mean, you have been working on these donuts for a while. This wasn't just something you did overnight, and then it all turned out right the first time, did
No,
it?
it definitely did not. It was actually just something extra we featured on our menu every week, to have a healthy dessert for our customers, to tack on to their orders. And, from there, people were asking us to do holiday Christmas catering parties and birthday parties and gender reveal parties, just because they wanted to have the donuts there. They wanted, people to have that healthy option. And, we're like, wow, we're actually starting to make more donuts than we are food. So I think we're on to something. And, my background is in nutrition, so I know how many different, diets there are, especially trending nowadays. So I wanted to create a product to where, I could reach different niches, in the health industry, different diets and, lifestyles that people live. And so that's where we're at with it. And we've had great response.
Yeah, and another thing too, I mean, we're both online coaches as well, so we not only do the donuts and know these different types of donuts to create, but we work with people who specifically either have maybe a certain allergy or they can't have this, or
Right, like a gluten intolerance. You can choose our
Right.
paleo donut because it's gluten free.
Right. So we started, it kind of all derived from us kind of figuring out a way to allow these people to still get the things that they enjoy. And we all love sweets and things like that. So then that's whenever she started throwing them up as the healthy dessert and things like that. And it just kind of skyrocketed from there.
Now, and you make another point, Drew, that I want to kind of touch on real quick. You talk about you're doing the online. Carol, you work as with the IFAS Center and the County Extension Office, and Will, you're in the ophthalmology business, and so I mean, I think that's a good point too. I mean, you guys have proved that you're out there doing it. But you're, as Marcus even pointed out, calculated risk. I mean, you haven't said, I'm quitting the job and I'm taking my savings and I'm throwing it all in. I mean, all of you guys are working while building this business.
Correct.
Is that, talk a little bit about that.
Well, I've had to hold him back from that a little bit.
Okay, so I was wrong. Okay.
He's ready to take that next step, that next leap.
Just forget everything I just said.
More calculation.
More calculation.
But it's
Okay.
worked out well. And yes, because I think all four of us here in the room, we have real world experience in business and seeing and learning different tools that help us in our endeavors now.
To improve our products.
And being able to watch the market, look for opportunities, see a challenge as an opportunity, like a successful entrepreneur would.
Exactly.
And it gives us the flexibility to really move our businesses forward.
Well, again, I don't know whether Marcus, and I don't think any of y'all know Marcus, but all his 3 points, you guys really are following. I mean, you really have been, you're doing the right things in entrepreneurship. You're taking those calculated risks. Nobody's a riverboat gambler in here, except for maybe for Will. But nobody's said all in. You've taken your time. You're building your product, and now you're kind of at that point where you're ready to, again, put together the pitch. Kind of tighten up the business plan, and you're taking kind of your show on the road now.
Yeah, one thing to kind of add to that too is we've run into a lot of people who've asked us, because we're both fairly young and working for ourselves essentially, but we work a lot. So it's not like we're just, roaming around doing our thing. But
Probably seems that way to
yeah, some
they
people
just don't get the entrepreneur life at all.
but that we actually work 15, 16 hours a day. But
Running aimlessly.
yeah, exactly. But
Eating donuts and drinking coffee, what a life.
to kind of piggyback what he said real quick is, one thing we just tell people all the time, just go for it, but also understand what that means in your situation. Maybe go for it doesn't mean dump your savings into it. Go for it maybe means, hey, work your 8-hour job and go home and work 2 hours at night, 4 or 5 nights a week, put in the time, and next thing you know, then you can kind of leap into that next venture and it not be such a crazy, crazy risk. So still do it, but don't think that just because you're doing one thing, you can't work towards another. Because I went from one, I started working on another, and then I transitioned to that, and then I worked into another, and now we're doing donuts. So it's all been a process.
Will?
Yeah, well, cold brew will really help with that because it has twice the caffeine as regular. Heat kills caffeine. Cold brew does not. So there you go.
There we go.
There's your motivation.
This has probably been my
plug.
problem all along. I was drinking hot coffee.
Yeah.
All right, we've only got a couple minutes left, so I want to do something real quick. I want everybody to have a shot at this, all our entrepreneurs. So give us your 30-second advice for somebody out there thinking about doing what you guys have done. Start with Will. Let's go.
Do it and do it with passion and do it all in. I mean, just go 100%.
All right. Carol?
Look for opportunities, do your research, and take advantage.
I like that. Do your research, see? I keep going back to that. Jenna?
Find your why. Figure out, why do you want to do whatever it is you're doing, and use that to motivate you forward and, to grow.
All right, Drew, you get it.
Yeah, be more concerned about or be less concerned about other people's opinions and kind of take your own risks. So a lot of times people don't get outside their comfort zone because they're afraid of what other people will say or things like that. But, obviously make it, we've talked several times, calculate your risks, but don't go on someone else's opinion. Value your opinion over that. So if you want to start a business, start a business. It can be anything. You could power wash sidewalks for a living if you want to. Just do it. It's that easy, but start somewhere and start small.
How'd you know my next career?
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Again, thank you so much. Will Roberts, Carol Alberts, Jenna Summers, and Drew Bland. You four are going to be presenting your business plans and your pitches next Wednesday night, the 28th at 5:30 at the Pruitt campus. That is down in St. Lucie West. It's on California. I think it's California Boulevard. I think it's what it's called down there. But it's the big IRSC campus down in Pruitt, down in St. Lucie West. You can't miss it. I would encourage all folks who are interested in entrepreneurship to come see these guys pitch. This is really a standout class in the incubation program. And with that, we'll bring to close another segment of Startup Talk. I want to thank our guests tonight and remind everyone that all the business assistance programs and resources discussed on this segment are available through IRSC's Dan K. Richardson Entrepreneurship Development Institute, engaged at every stage of enterprise. You can always get more information on all that's going on at irscbiz.com. And with that, I'm signing off. We'll talk to you next week on Startup Talk.
You have been listening to Startup Talk right here on WPSL Port St. Lucie, WPSL on Echo, Alexa, and Google Home, and WSTU Stewart, Martin County's Heritage Station.